Hello everybody, I'm Conquering History Games, and welcome to a new campaign on the channel. Today I'm going to be starting a campaign that in live streams I've made reference that I've wanted to play for a while, and that's going to be finally checking out a Burgundian nation in Hearts of Iron 4, the mod, the New Order, Last Days of Europe. We're on patch version 1.1.0G, Cutting Room Floor Patch G, on Kali version 1.10.3, B9F3. And so yeah, essentially this was a campaign that I really wanted to get done because I'm going to be taking a tiny, very short break from the New Order just until a certain update happens, hopefully in February, but we don't know for sure. We're going to have to wait and see. But I wanted to at least get this done, and then I'm going to go work on some other projects while we wait for the New Order to get to that update. So the Burgundian nation that I'm going to be playing is Burgundy itself. Now, if you're watching this, I'm going to guess that you already kind of know the broad strokes, or probably more than me for all I know, of the New Order and its story. But essentially, this is a world where the fascist powers won in World War II. And we're now in the year 1962, and the world is radically different. So we're going to be playing under Hitler's group of people here, the sort of the fascist aligned ones here in Europe, specifically as Ordensstaat Burgund under Heinrich Himmler. So I guess before we read the brief history, because I'm actually going into this completely blind, I don't know anything about this nation other than Himmler's in charge, and this is only things that I know from the music's a tiny bit loud in my ears. I'm just going to drop this a little. Other than what I've seen in from playing other games, so I know that after Hitler dies, Himmler and Burgundy go to war with France, and there's usually an event about them building bunkers, like nuclear bunkers, and they get nuclear weapons, but that's basically all I know. So besides that, I'm going in completely blind. So I thought I would first talk about what we know about Himmler at the start. Now, it's my understanding that a nation run by Himmler turns into a real horror show real fast, which makes a lot of sense when we think about who Himmler was in real life. So, now I know that anybody watching this is clearly a fan of the World War II Hitler roleplay map painting simulator. So you probably already know who Himmler is, but we're just going to do a little bit of an overview here. So, Himmler was a German man who was the Reichsführer of the Schutzstaffel, aka the SS, and one of the major party figures in Nazi Germany. And is, if you could say there was a singular person who was behind the actual execution of the Holocaust, but besides Hitler himself, like the person who actually enacted it, you would say that it was Heinrich Himmler. So a little bit of backstory for him. So when he was a kid, he was really sickly, but he wanted to eventually become a soldier. And so World War I was breaking out, and he wanted to be a part of it, but he was too young to join the army. Now, he had fantasized about being a leader in the army, so he didn't want to just be one of those guys who ditched and just lie about his age. He wanted to go to officer school. So he manages to convince his father to let him drop out of high school, and he ends up going to officer training school. But the war ends before Himmler's done training, so he never ends up becoming an officer, nor does he see any combat. So then he just we'll skip over a lot of the 1920s. Basically, he's just wandering around being a loser for a long time. Trying to do farming or trying to do an apprenticeship here and there. Nothing's really working. Can't really hold down a job. Not really doing well in university either. And he's just starting to become obsessed with this idea of like anti-Semitism and the so-called Jewish question. And eventually he joins the Nazi Party, and he via Ernst Röhm, who was Ernst Röhm was the one who the Night of the Long Knives happens to later. So the beer putsch attempt happens. It fails, so Himmler's now just unemployed and still being a real loser for a while. Oh yeah, I forgot to also mention he was originally Catholic. He abandoned that pretty early. We're gonna come back to that later. So eventually, Himmler in the late 20s, after Hitler's out of jail, is made the leader of the SS, which is the Schutzstaffel. And originally the SS were essentially just a bodyguard unit. They were security guards for the Nazi Party, protecting officials. So it was just like a couple of hundred people that he was in charge of, and they were underneath the SA, or the Sturmbataillon. Sturmbataillon? I really should have made notes for this, I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I practiced German pronunciations. So anyway, he's like he's like an important and yet minor official in the Nazi Party. Eventually, the Nazis take control of the government in the early 30s, and then we have the Night of the Long Knives. Continuously throughout the 30s and the 40s, the SS is growing all the time, by the way, until it's eventually just going to be absolutely massive. Like almost 1 million people will be part of it before the end of World War II and the fall of the Nazis. So the Night of the Long Knives is where Ernst Kohm goes down. Hitler is now undisputed leader of the Nazi Party, getting rid of all his enemies, and Himmler becomes in charge of the SS, and the SS then is now on top of the SA. So they end up, Himmler and the SS end up increasingly taking more and more of a forward role within Nazi ideology and Nazi government. Now, we all know what the sort of things that the Nazis believed in. Well, for the SS, it was basically, you could think of them as like the purists, you could say. That's the concept. They're supposed to be the purest of the Nazis, the most extreme, the most dedicated to the ideologies of anti-communism, anti-Jewishness, anti-Bolshevik, but with like even more, with this obsession with creating a German identity, and that also means being anti-religious. For example, anti-Catholicism and anti-Christianity. Well, Catholicism is a branch of Christianity. You guys know what I mean. Himmler ends up being in charge of the police in Germany. He's like the actual chief of police, and it just takes increasing amounts of power as time goes on, consolidating it more and more, beginning to wear many hats, so to speak. So, for example, I think at one point he was made the Minister of the Interior, and just I don't have notes, but he ends up controlling a lot of the structure within there. And as he says to Hitler, I want to create a branch of the army that is just made of the SS, so that's what leads to the Waffen SS, which becomes like a separate military structure from the regular Wehrmacht. Initially being very small. I want to say it was like only 2 to 4 divisions initially, but it ends up being like dozens of divisions, and they would fight alongside the army, but they weren't part of the army. This is swollen by recruiting ranks of so-called non-Germanic master races, especially in Eastern Europe, as the war with the Soviet Union begins, and which is like, the great existential racial war as far as Himmler is concerned. He's also prosecuting the Holocaust during this time, and a lot of, killing a lot of other people too, all the prisoners of war, the millions of non-Jews that get killed in the camps and things like that. So he's founding the Einsatzgruppen, which was responsible for countless atrocities in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. He's taking part in the Holocaust. I already said that. Taking part in the eugenics policy, Himmler actually wanted every SS member to, as like the elite of the master race, to have at least 4 children. That was the goal. Didn't really work out. I think it was like only single digits amount of SS, members that ended up hitting that mark. And more than half of them never even got married, although there were also projects to like create children out of marriage, and that's a whole other thing. And that didn't even work out really. But a lot of things with the Nazis didn't work out. So where was I? Do I want to start talking about homosexuality in the SS? No, let's not get into that. Look it up. Look it up, though. So anyway, there's the plot to overthrow Hitler that happens July 20th, 1944. Go check out Valkyrie. That's what that's about. And so, like, a bunch of heads roll because of people getting implicated in the conspiracy, and then so Himmler continues to gain more and more power because he's like a loyalist member of the Nazi Party. And then once you're getting into late 1944, Himmler actually is put in charge of like the People's Army, which was the special army units that were created to like, you know, basically like just the scraping the barrel of Germany. He was put in charge of a lot of that, and then he was also given an army group to command in southwest Germany. Spoiler alert: Germany loses World War II, so he didn't do very well. So once Himmler actually, for once, is in like personal control of an army, doesn't really work out. So then Germany's collapsing by the time you get to 1945, and he's trying to think, okay, maybe we can like negotiate with the Western powers, and then we can together fight the Soviet Union. So he tries to start doing these like secret negotiations, meeting with different organizations, Swedes and Jews, can you believe it? And things like that. Oh, I also forgot to mention he was also part of I mentioned prisoners and things, but there was also like, he was a big part of like the euthanasia programs that were killing people who were physically and mentally disabled. Really sweet guy, this Himmler. That's why I'm so interested in what kind of horror show it's going to be. Reading this, sometimes you got to look at the horrors of fascism. Let's explore that. Anyway, so yeah, so he's trying to like negotiate separately from Hitler with the Western powers, and Hitler finds out about this in the last couple weeks of his life. And so before Hitler dies, not like the day he dies, but like the last couple weeks before Hitler kills himself, he actually strips Himmler of all authority. So then Himmler ends up trying to disguise himself and getting some fake identifications, and then tries to defect to the West. In a way, desert's probably the more accurate term. Ends up getting captured, and then a couple of days later commits suicide via cyanide pill. And he dies, and then he was buried in an unmarked grave. And I think to this day we're still not sure where it is, which is probably for the best. Oh my gosh, I think I've been talking for like 10 minutes about Himmler's background. The too long didn't read is Himmler was a super Nazi who was also a little bitch, and that's all you have to know. So we're gonna see what it's like with him in front of the country. I've heard that this is, I keep saying a horror show, but this is like apparently just really good writing. Good horror writing, which is interesting because, let's face it, The New Order is a little bit more of like a series of short novels than it is a video game. And you know what? That's fine. But I know we are going to go to war at least once. And I'm mostly interested in seeing what the interior stuff is going to be like. So how about we actually take a look at what it's like in this world for Himmler and such. So I'll probably try to put timestamps in the description whenever I finally upload this video. By the way, go check out my Comey campaign and other stuff if you like that. So brief history. 1962. Much of northern France remained under direct German occupation when the Second World War ended. Life there was cruel and oppressive, but eventually settled into something resembling normalcy. But it would not last. After his failed coup during the West Russian War... What? I didn't know that was a thing. Heinrich Himmler was given northern France and Belgium as his fiefdom by Hitler, hoping it would leave him content to no longer meddle in German politics. So I guess he tried to coup Hitler when the Russians attacked in the 50s? Because I think the economy was also collapsing and stuff. Yeah, that's all I essentially know about the Burgundian system. The Burgundian system is basically supposed to be people who say the Nazis don't go far enough. Like, we need to really show them how it's done. But what was meant to be a sinecure became a staging ground. The land of the nascent SS Ordensstaat Burgund is clay in Himmler's hand. free for him to mold as he sees fit. And with his plans growing more audacious and destructive by the day, the Shadow State will soon play host to greater and greater dangers to the Reich, Europe, and eventually the world. Now we're not going to try to, like, you know, from the inside lose or something. I'm gonna. I don't know what kind of wars that we can get involved in besides attacking France, but I do want to explore as much of it as possible. So I guess we'll try to quote unquote stay alive as Burgundy. Like if we get attacked, we will defend ourselves and such. But let's see what's up. Also, is the bio here? Yeah, we can read Himmler's in-game bio once we get in there. So let's hit it. Ow! Ooh! Ouch! Oh, wow. Sorry, this is not related to the game, but freaking, I was just looking down and realizing, oh yeah, I still have a band-aid over a bad scrape that I got the other day. And, yeah, I just ripped out a bunch of hair because it was a strong band-aid, so I've got a bald spot on my arm now. Ouch. Something about hair pulling, man. I'm just doing this while we load up, killing time. Like, I donate blood and platelets pretty often, and they're always ask me, like, okay, look away if you're worried about the needle, or I'm sorry, it's going to hurt, and, like, they put the needle in and it's fine. But I swear what hurts more is when they take the tape off, because then it yanks the hair. It's like the least, you know, when you get stabbed, it's just, bam, it gets poked in and you're set, but ripping the hair out is not fun. Okay. SS Ordensstaat Burgund. It is the youngest state in the Unity Pact. So the Unity Pact is the thing that Hitler runs. You know, he basically controls all of Europe except for the people that are in Italy's sphere of influence. So, are we considered a puppet technically? No, we are officially our own nation, but obviously we're part of the Pact. But we're not a puppet like Poland is or something. Cobbled together with lands from the French and Belgian territories of the Reich in order to placate Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler during the West Russian War. Okay, so quick bio on the West Russian War. Soviet Union loses in World War II, but then, like, the remnants of the Soviet Union, you form this West Russian Revolutionary Front, and in the 50s, I've been told that there was, like, basically Germany was collapsing or something, or like they were having a lot of severe internal issues, so the West Russians tried to attack to reclaim the Moscow and just, yeah, this Reichskommissariat in Moskowen. And it didn't work, and then that's what led to the just total fracturing of Russia. Himmler attempted to launch a coup against the ailing Führer Adolf Hitler, whom Hitler saw as a decrepit fool who was driving the Reich into chaos. However, Hans Spiedel and the Wehrmacht were able to crush the coup, forcing Hitler to find a punishment for his once loyal follower. It came in the form of the Ordensstaat, a white elephant that would hopefully keep the SS too busy managing in order to plot. How wrong he was. Himmler has spent the past several years consolidating his power and Caesar, what are you doing? Consolidating his power and ousting anyone in the administration who was not utterly loyal to him. And now he is ready to strike and succeed where he once failed, but even the best laid plans may go awry. Oh, so he's plotting to coup Hitler again. The Ordensstaat is dominated by the SS, who are predominantly loyal to Himmler above all. However, no man rules alone. The native German SS are joined by various collaborators, the SS Wallonien, led by the Wallonian Leon de Grelle. That's funny. The SS Legion Lenkmark, led by Flemish Bert Eriksson, and the SS Division Charlemagne, led by the French Christian de la Mazière. All of these factions despise one another and vie for power, sometimes jockeying with one another and sometimes threatening to undermine the rule of the Reichsführer SS. If there's to be any hope of success, the collaborators must be kept on a short leash. Thankfully, not everyone in the Reich is an enemy. Reinhard Heydrich is as loyal as ever to Hitler, and more importantly, he resides in Germania, leads the Deutschen SS, and has Hitler's ear. It is no secret that the old Führer is not long for this world, and Heydrich is poised to sweep in and seize power should some terrible tragedy befall the great leader. If he were to succeed, it would greatly expedite the fulfillment of the Reichsführer SS's vision for the Aryan race. Okay, so I guess Heinrich is who we're going to want to win when the German Civil War breaks out, because remember, you got Speer, Heydrich, Göring, and Bormann. Wait, did I already say Bormann? Wait, hold on. Speer, Heydrich, Göring, and Speer and Bormann. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hold on. But you know what I'm talking about. There's multiple factions. My brain's fuzzy. Okay, manage the workforce, carefully maintaining a balance between Schweizerpol and skilled laborers in the Ordensstaat's territory, so the slaves, basically. Launch investigations into traitors who may be lurking in the ranks of the Waffen-SS, and then begin the global plan, sowing the seeds of chaos among the great powers of the world, but it does not come without a price. So I think Burgundy can actually trigger a nuclear war that will destroy the world. Which I've been told is like a problem in live streams because the AI could do it. And so that's why I've sometimes been told during live streams, like, yo, make a save file. Because if they blow up the world, you're going to need to go back and then maybe go over in console command so that doesn't happen. Alright, region info. Let's see what's the deal. And by the way, if you have a problem with all this reading I'm doing in the first episode, I guess you don't know the New Order, because this would it be. Europe. It was not under the glorious banners of heroic men that Europe descended towards oblivion, nor was it the forward progress of the world that left all of Western civilization scarred and deformed in the wake of the 1940s. Rather, it was the fear and terror inspired by the German Reich and its scornful conquests across the fields of France, Russia, and beyond. Everywhere where one may look, the German Reich has brought about its influence, whether through its overlordship of a dozen European puppets leading a cleansing effort against the native populaces, or the gutted nature of the Mediterranean following the failures of the Allantropa project. All has been touched by the iron heart of Führer Adolf Hitler, self-described as the master of Europe. However, such a master does not bear the likeness of his subjects nor the respect of its neighbors. Instead, the south of Germany finds itself tied to a massive anti-German alliance known as the Triumvirate, intent on rebuilding the ruined German economy. So this is Italy stuff. We'll kind of skip over that. The UK, the East, the German Eagle has soared high over Europe and greatly has its flight left its wings burned. However, the fight is not over yet. Whilst the Reich views its own hotbed of sycophancy, betrayal, and competition for succession in lieu of the Führer's impending demise, a state of shadow lies due west, biding its time, watching each and every move of the many states across Europe, plotting its own machinations in the wake of disenchantment from the Reich's failure, and the Ordensstaat only has so much time left to accomplish its mark upon this corrupted world. Okay, so I think that's it. Yeah, we got, like, mod features. I know those now. You know, I guess go check out the team. Heil Himmler, destiny lies ahead. Alright, Himmler, let's see what his personal bio is in here. Because you know, obviously in real life, he was dead in 1945. So let's see what's happened since then. Oh, he's got a purple dye. That's a nice little detail, isn't it? Loyal member of the Nazis. Here we go. When the post-war euphoria wore off and the grand projects began to strain German industry, Himmler's faith wavered. When the economy collapsed and the government in Germania was powerless to save it, his faith faltered. And when the Russians nearly took back Moscow, his faith shattered. This could not be a Jewish plot or Allied sabotage. Nobody stabbed the Reich in the back, except the Nazis themselves. Himmler became convinced that the Nazi Party had been corrupted and was rotting Germany from the inside out. It was Himmler's duty, no, his mandate, to save the Reich from itself. From Paris to Germania, to the rapidly disintegrating AA line in the east, Waffen-SS units prepared to topple Hitler and right Germany's course. However, Speidel got wind of the plot and snuffed it in the cradle with Operation Backfire. With word of Himmler's plan leaked and dozens of divisions captured, it seems as if the SS was doomed. Hitler, in a rare moment of lucidity, knew that killing Himmler would trigger a civil war. So he offered Himmler a fiefdom, far away from Germania, one where he could stay out of Reich politics. SS Ordensstaat Burgundy. Himmler reluctantly accepted, leaving control of the Deutschen SS to his loyal lieutenant Reinhard Heydrich, and left for Ostparis. But Himmler has only grown more steadfast in his views, and he has not forgotten the injustice against him. So yeah, pretty much everybody here is Himmlerite, although there is the De Grelle clique. Is that a thing? That can he take charge? Well, we're not doing that today. We're going Himmler all the way. Okay, we got the Shadow State. Within the Ordensstaat, if we do not have total control, then we have nothing. All information leaving our territory is closely monitored and highly restricted, with all media sources within controlled by the state. Foreign visitors are non-existent, with access only rarely granted to high-ranking officials from the Wider Reich. The Wider Reich. They will know us only from what we want them to know. We are the Staatenstaat, or Shadow State, in the heart of Europe. So this gives me a bunch of bonuses. Better encryption, resistance targets minus 100%, trade deal opinion factor minus 8%. Okay, that kind of sucks, but political power gain plus 40%. Holy crap. Purge the rot. There are two great enemies to society, decadence and degeneracy. They are a disease infecting all they touch, and left unchecked will bring calamity, the likes of which we have seen across the Reich. The fatherland may be lost, but we will burn this disease out. The degenerate French and Belgian languages are to be entirely destroyed, their cultures relegated to history, and all elements of decadency purged from both our own ranks and the population at large. So this hurts monthly population, stability, factory output, and daily compliance gain minus 25%. The Three Realms. While the Ordensstaat is unified in its loyalty, we are not a unified race. Collaboration as French and Belgians play an important role in our administrative and domestic espionage efforts, with our military supported by several volunteer Waffen-SS legions such as Charlemagne, Langsmark, and Walloon. Given the choice of service, slavery, or toil annihilation, all have made their choice. They may hate us for it, but we do not ask for their love, only their fear. So this increases division organization, increases recruitable population factor, and increases our defense on the core territories. Alright. Ribbentrop is one of our ministers. He's our foreign minister. How about that? Dietrich is our security minister. Okay. So then, let's get to it. Let's take a look at the focus tree. Alright, well, obviously more is going to pop out later. Unter der Schwarzsonne. Under the black sun-ish. The Ordensstaat was not founded as a nation, but as a distraction. Hitler hoped that due to the rebellious nature of the French and Belgians, the Reichsführer SS would be kept too busy trying to pacify the natives instead of consolidating his influence within the Reich. How ironic it was that the Führer himself would underestimate the resourcefulness of the Aryan mind. The Ordensstaat has served as a perfect place for us to prepare away from the prying eyes of Germania, and when we step into their view again, it will shake them to their core. Alright. Is there a description of the Burgundian system? Oh, yes! This is actually really important. Let's do that then. When Germany's luck began running out after the Second World War, the most fanatical members of the Nazi Party, chief among them the Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler, sought to reconcile their beliefs in the superiority of National Socialism with the increasingly bleak reality unfolding before them. They eventually arrived at the conclusion that the Nazi Party had lost sight of itself and had collapsed into decadence, and that only they were fit to preserve the ideology as truly intended. They increasingly isolated themselves from the Third Reich's political structures, secretively building their own systems in parallel. When Himmler was made head of the SS Ordensstaat Burgundy, he began implementing his vision unimpeded. Much like how many of Nazis' goals revolved around Hitler's increasingly erratic statements, the tenets of the Burgundian system are equally ill-defined. The only way one could begin to define it is to analyze Himmler's increasingly inscrutable actions and cryptic beliefs, which very few outside of the system are able to do. What is clear is that his regime implements Nazi policies in the extreme. The party is exalted above all other aspects of society. Draconian racial supremacy laws are harshly enforced, and Nazi thought is deliberately incorporated into every aspect of waking life. It also impresses a Spartan and militaresque lifestyle upon the entire population in hopes of removing all potential sources of decadence or complicity. That, reminds me, what kind of social laws are, what's our societal development right now? So the academic base, we have secondary schooling, but it's getting worse. We do have access to modern research facilities. Agriculturally, we got mass mechanization. Poverty rates at 25 to 50%. I've definitely seen worse. We can work with that, but it's getting worse. Obviously, you want to reduce your poverty rate more and more. Either that or do full-blown Spartan ideal. So it's like, you don't do half measures, essentially. We got an experienced industrial base. We have Spartan discipline, which is very, very good, because this is the SS, it's the cream of the crop, supposed to be, right? Division recovery rate plus 15%, division attack and defense plus 7.5%, division organization plus 15%, and division training time plus 15%. We are a non-nuclear power. I don't think we're going to stay that way for long. We're also really close to being in debt, but screw it. 2020 taught me it's just a number. Money printer go burr if we go into debt. Now we are going to have to go to war at some point, so I guess we should actually, research some stuff here. Get too early for that. In terms of industry, let's get that going. Wow, 275. I don't like that. We got a 23% reduction. Just a lot of things are holding us back. Let's get not the Flamewerfers. How about we just do a land doctrine? Can't go wrong there. Okay, we're doing maneuver. Do we have tanks, though? Oh yeah, Panzer Grenadiers everywhere. Let's check our, whoops. Let's check what the template's like. Yeah, a bunch of armored personnel carriers. So, let's see, motorized, breakthrough. Yeah, we'll do spear points so we can get bliss. So let's head that way. Okay, we got some factories. Until I think of something else to do, let's just build up Paris's infrastructure. Okay, we have the global plan. This is what was referenced before. So I guess let's go over this and then go from there. So we have Global Plan Condor. This global plan is available. We may activate this global plan at a significant cost, allowing us to advance to the ultimate goal. Only one global plan may be available at a time. So we have Bard, Drak, Wolf, Son, Alder, and Puma. We gotta have a certain amount of skilled workers in our reserve to do this, and we get supplies and stuff. Is there a description here of what this exactly means? Purchase one supply at the start of each month, costing 20 PP, 300 infantry equipment, and 150 support every month. No supplies will be purchased if you cannot afford this cost at the start of the month. We'll probably learn more about that later. Domestic situation. So security policing in state. We got like 1200. Certain amount of skilled laborers in each individual area. Okay, very cool. It also says how loyal they are to me in each area, and it's a hard number. It's not just like weak, strong, affiliated, whatever. Kampen. These guys, this is yellow, but they're not actually loyal to the Wallonians. They're actually more loyal to Charlemagne than anything, besides me, but I seem to have definitive strength everywhere. The SS Legion Wallon is questionable, but Langmark and Charlemagne are loyal. We have 3,000 security police officers in reserve, and we have 250 skilled laborers in reserve. Okay. So, like, we can't invest politically and industrially, for example, because we've only got a quarter of the necessary workers. All right. Well then, let's get some convoys going. And I've already got all the factories are assigned. I'm sure it's fine, whatever it's at. Just trade for a couple of things here and there. Just so I can have everything I need. And we'll go ahead and stop it there. So, there, a whole hour has passed in game. Aren't we flying? So in the next episode, we should unpause. Sorry about all the talking, but if you haven't seen one of my series before, that's how it is. You know, first episode, it's actually kind of rare sometimes that we actually will unpause the game because we're setting the stage. But let's see what's going to happen now. I'm noticing a lot of demilitarized zone around here. Around the French state, not to be confused with teeny little free France under Charles de Gaulle, you wimpy. Anyway, I'm Conquering History Games. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you'll always be notified whenever a new video goes up on this channel. I'm really looking forward to this series. Yeah, it should be some interesting reading. I don't know if you guys have. I'm sure other people have played this before, but I hope you'll enjoy this along with me. And remember, I've also got other The New Order campaigns on the channel you can check out. I do live streams pretty frequently, often of The New Order. And I've also got stuff that's not Hearts of Iron 4 that's on the channel that you should check out. I hope by the time that this video goes up, I've already started uploading some of the other things I'm working on. So, anyway, everybody have a good night.